Today, I'm going to share with you some tips for drone photography and videography. Welcome, glad you're able to join me. My name is Mike and I'm a Transport Canada certified advanced drone pilot, videographer, photographer, and several other titles that are not important for this video. So the other day I was digging through some of my footage looking for something I shot a while ago and came across some video clips that are absolutely terrible. So I figured I'd share them. Show you some of my really bad stuff and give you some tips to help you learn to be a better photographer and videographer, hopefully. As a fair warning, don't watch this video full screen if you tend to suffer from motion sickness. There are some truly terrible clips in this video that could cause you some issues. Consider yourselves warned. So let's get into the tips. Tip number 1. Just because it is legal to do something doesn't mean you always should. While it is perfectly legal to fly at 122 meters, 400 feet for my American viewers, it is pretty hard to get good footage. Take a look at this footage for example. That is me in my Jeep. Not only is it kind of hard to see me, there's nothing cool to look at and I'm just standing there. So I'm not telling you to stay low to the ground and never fly high, but it's not always your best option. Tip number 2, pay attention to your speed. If you fly really fast, not only is it hard for the viewer to focus on your footage, but it can cause some dizziness. This next clip will be very short because even I can only watch for a second or two. You can tell it is a road, but after a little bit you want to look away, and that's not what you want from your viewers. Now, once again, not the law, but just make sure there's a reason you're flying at Mach 2. Tip number 3, always clean your lens before you fly. Now, I was sure I had some drone footage with a big dust spot on the lens, but I can't find it. So maybe I deleted it already. Just make sure before you take off that you either blow off or wipe down your lens and any filters that you'll be using. I personally have an anti-static brush and a few lens cloths that live in my drone case, and I clean it off before I take off. Now, tip number 4 kind of plays right into that. Use a landing pad or a bare hard surface, like concrete or pavement if possible, to take off from. I've taken off from the roof and hood of my Jeep in the past just to avoid dust or snow blowing up around my drone. I mean, you just spent a few seconds cleaning your optics and now you blew dust onto everything during takeoff. Not only do you stand a chance of getting dust on your lens, the dust is really not great for your motors, props, or the electronics in your drone. So use something relatively clean and hard. Number 5, pay attention to your recording status. This one has caught me more than once. If you think you're not recording but you are, the footage you capture is usually unusable. Then when you press the record button, you stop recording and don't get the shot you wanted. Now, the slow orbit I did around this church was absolutely perfect, but you will never know, because I recorded getting into position and stopped the recording before I flew an absolutely perfect manual orbit around the entire church. Believe it if you want. Number 6, pay attention to where your drone is. Now, this might seem like I'm breaking the visual line of sight laws, but I'm not. I could see most of my drone while I was shooting this clip. I could not, however, see the back right prop, and that's what caused the issue. Also, I was flying too low. The prop caught on a tree branch and everything was done before I knew what happened. It was only after I got the footage home and looked at it that I realized my multiple mistakes. Since then, I've learned how to perform a mocha before I fly in a tight area, and I can cover that in a different video if you guys want. Just let me know down in the comment section. Tip number 7, don't be afraid of automatic flight modes. While I think it is important to practice orbits and smooth camera moves, on a lot of modern drones there are automated flight modes that will either make the moves for you or assist you with more complicated moves. Some pilots feel like this is cheating. I say, use what you need to get the shot you want. No one will know unless you tell them. Speaking of practice, tip number 8, practice, practice, practice. Fly as often as you are able. Practice flying orbits, getting used to tilting the camera while you fly towards something or away from something or up or down. Just practice, practice, practice. The more you fly, the better you'll get. Now, if you've been here from the beginning, you can see my improvements over time, or at least I can. I also notice the more often I fly, the less footage I have to cut out of the videos to get something that looks like I kind of know what I'm doing. Now, don't get me wrong, I still have my off days where I couldn't fly in a straight line if you paid me $1 million, but those are fewer and farther between. Anyways, tip number 9, make sure your drone firmware is up to date before you leave home. This has only caught me once, and I had good enough cell service that I was able to update it out in the field. But had I been shooting for a client, I could have looked like an idiot and possibly lost a contract. So get into the habit of checking before you leave home. Not only will it be a more pleasant flight, but you won't end up looking like you don't know what you're doing. Tip number 10, create a packing checklist. This will be different for each and every pilot, but you should have one even if you're just out for fun. There's nothing worse than getting to an absolutely epic place to fly, only to discover that you left a cable at home or you don't have an empty memory card that you can put in your drone. Just sit down and make a quick basic list that you can add to or delete from as your needs and equipment change. Alright, that's enough of me talking for today. So hopefully you learned something or at least feel a bit better about your piloting skills after watching some of my truly terrible footage. If you don't mind, on your way out of the video, if you could click on one of the thumbs, preferably the one pointed up, it does help out a lot. If I provided you with some value, please consider subscribing if you haven't already. And remember, you can follow Gradient Imaging on Facebook and Instagram. Links will be in the description below. So until next time, bye-bye.